right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Survive First Foundation's official podcast show called Survived. I'm here with my lovely wife, Karen, and Ozzy from the Dirty Oar. We're going to kick this thing off for you right out the gate. I'll give Ozzy here a second. He's going to kind of fill you in on some of the stuff they got and what they're going to introduce this week. And here you go.
Hey guys, how's it going? Ozzy from the Dirty Oar. Just want to kind of bring up a few things that we've had going on recently for us. So we obviously had our anniversary postponed, unfortunately, due to the Hurricane Dorian. But we're fortunate enough to be able to have a fundraiser last Saturday. We raised quite a bit of money for all those guys down there. Making sure they get all the supplies they need in the Bahamas because that was pretty devastating. Also, we have our new awning up in the turf. And the new beer garden, so that's looking really fresh. So you guys haven't checked it out yet, get your way over and see that. We got games and all that for the kiddos, and family friendly and dog friendly as always. Beer wise, we have 20 beers always on tap. We got some new throwbacks. Well, they're not new; they're throwbacks. Time Warp Double IPA, the hashtag Town IPA, Porch Fire, which is always favorite. The Utterly Useless Sour, and then Smurfberry Blue Sour, and the Pina Colada. They're always really, really good. And one of the other main things, because we love our first responders so much, we always give a 10%. So if you guys ever make your way over, and make sure you let one of the beer tenders know, and we'll get taken care of your military and first responders.
Sweet. Yeah, they need to do that.
Absolutely. But yeah, other than that, just really happy to be here with you guys as always.
And then the rest of your team's on vacation. Like, is that even a vacation? Like, Paul, I know you're watching.
Like
He's
a
watching.
6-week vacation.
Hey, sorry ass goes on vacation for 6 months or whatever.
No,
I thought I was bad. I'm retired. I ain't got no room to talk, but man, that's like he shut down Mary Cakes, man. Nobody's getting cupcakes for like 6 weeks, man.
It's ridiculous, right?
That's crazy stuff,
is.
man. You get your butt back to Florida.
Damn right. Chris is gone,
Yeah, Chris is gone, man. It's a terrible thing going on over there.
And our Chris is gone too.
Yeah, and our Chris is gone. He's on a cruise. He's in the middle. I don't know where he's cruising to, but he's cruising somewhere. I think they're just going to do some laps.
We're missing out.
That might be too soon. I shouldn't be cracking on them guys down there. It might be too soon, but we'll talk about that later. I mean, what do you expect? It's from me.
Just because they're gone doesn't mean we're not going to be open Wednesday through Sunday. So.
All right, good deal. So support your local brewery and excuse me.
And did I hear you that you guys have not set a new date for your anniversary party?
Not yet, but we're planning on waiting at least until a little bit further into the fall, so that way we can, it'll be a little bit cooler out. We'll have everything ready, just so everybody can come out and have a great time. That's what we represent at Dirty Oar. So. Good
deal.
Good.
We're not pouring beer tonight. We're taking a break. I need a little clean my liver out every once in a while. I do that. I'm trying to get myself back in race condition here soon. So, time to take a little siesta, so to speak. But not that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not that crazy about it. But since we're talking about that, I have a couple people ask me, about. Because we send a lot of first responders to treatment. And the question came up about, about drinking beer, having beer on the show or whatever. Well, here's my answer to that for everybody listening. Not everybody has a problem with alcohol. I mean, I've had, obviously I've been to treatment for alcohol. I've had some issues with it, but I also have discipline and, I can take it or I can leave it. But some guys out there, and I know a handful, when they get done with work, that's what they need. They just need to stop by. I mean, my one buddy, he's got to stop by the cigar shop there, Paradise Cigars in Rockledge. It's full of first responders, man. I love that place. And there's guys that just need to go in there and smoke a cigar or have a drink and go home. And I talked about that on the show, about making sure that you do different things and whatever you got to do to decompress from the job. So that's okay. Now, if you got a problem with alcohol or drugs or whatever it is, we're going to help you and we'll get you back on your feet and get you squared away, and we'll do whatever we can to send you in the right direction. We've got plenty of resources for it, but not everybody has an issue with it. So that's the lowdown on that.
Yeah, and if you guys ever do want to stop in, I mean, we're all inclusive. Like you were talking about, Doug. If you need a place to go after work or something like that and just chill out, we're the local Cheers right there in Cocoa Village, and
you got a humidor in there too. So like
Every-
guys stash their cigars in there. I got a couple in there. So
first Thursday of every month we have cigar club on the back porch. Usually get anywhere between 10 and 25 people.
And what time's that?
I think it usually starts at 7.
So right after Run Club or.
It's right. Everything kind of coincides. We have the One Wheel Club, Run Club, and Cigar Club all on the first Thursday of every month.
Oh, cool. Because I'm down with the Run Club, and I notice, Andy Carl.
Yeah,
it's his
Andy.
birthday today. Happy birthday,
Happy
man.
birthday,
He's
Andy.
a large firefighter out there. He's my man. But they're still involved in it. Obviously, I've been on tour, so I haven't been able to attend. And I'm gone for like the next 3 weeks, easy, maybe 6 weeks. So I'll have to miss out. But
You guys have food trucks there every night, correct?
We try to have it every night. If you ever have any question, just give us a call. But we try and have it every night. Sometimes circumstances go where they can't make it, but Paul pretty much has everybody lined up to be there, and we love our food trucks. They're amazing.
Oh man, they are amazing. Every time we've been there, we've probably tried 4 or 5 different of the food trucks, and the food is incredible. And I have to say, I think a few nights ago something happened and your food truck couldn't make it, and you guys provided pizza for everybody on the house.
We did, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Again, like I said, inclusive.
You guys take care of everyone.
We try and take care of everybody. We're your local neighborhood watering hole hangout spot, and like we want everybody to be involved and make it a family environment, so that way when you come in, we know your name. There's always at least one owner there, and also our beer tenders and our taproom manager, Rachel. They all do such a great job, so we're very, very fortunate, and we appreciate everybody.
Good deal.
Place.
All right. Well, thank you
for being here.
And we'll see you soon. I'm sure we get some time. I'll be there on Thursday night. A couple other things we want to touch base on. Obviously, I'm not doing that. You do it, man. I'm not reading. This is too much for me right there.
You don't have to read it. Okay, so let me take over here. While we're still with the Dirty Oar, we have some exciting news for the MFC charity poker run that's happening on October 5th. The Dirty Oar is actually going to be the first stop on the poker run. So it's going to be a great time. If you have a bike, bring that out, but you do not have to have a bike. You don't have to ride in order to enjoy. Cars are welcome. We just want everyone to come out and support our first responders. We have some pretty awesome silent auction items and raffle items, so we definitely want you guys to come out. I know Dirty Oar is the first stop. What's one of the other places, babe, in the port? Rising Tide. They've committed. Yes, they've committed to be the second stop. We're working on the last 2, but those details will be coming forth. So please join us on October 5th. That's going to be a great time, and all the money that MFC raises, they're going to be donating to Survive First. So it's going to be a good time.
We're super excited.
Yeah, we are too. So thank you again for supporting us, supporting all first responders, and stepping up to be that first stop. Pretty awesome stuff. So the other thing that we wanted to say, as far as Hurricane Dorian, we definitely have everybody in the Bahamas, especially the Abacos, in our prayers. That was some pretty devastating stuff that went on. Florida was spared, thank goodness, but I know we were all very on edge for about a week's time. I think everybody that's here in the studio can say that we had some moments where we were very scared, that we were going to get the worst, and then seeing what happened in the Abacos and the Bahamas, our hearts and prayers are with the people there. What we really want to say for our first responders that are here in Florida that were on the coast, all the way up the East Coast, actually, thank you to all of the first responders and the families, because as many people know, when there is a natural disaster that is coming, those first responders have to leave their families at home. And the families are scared at home. They have to take care of the children and everything in the house, and those first responders are on shift for, I don't know, babe. I mean, 2 days, 3 days, however long it takes until that disaster is over. So thank you to you all.
Some long ones, like back in the day, man. I was gone for, I was gone with Hurricane Katrina for, I don't know, weeks. But, yeah, it stinks for them. I feel bad for them. They're sleeping on cots and, I mean, it's just taxing. And then, you're stuck at work. I've worked every hurricane up until last year, or Matthew and Irma. I think I retired right before Matthew, like a couple weeks, right?
No, you worked Matthew because
Irma.
that's when we took the kids and evacuated.
Right before Irma. And it's just stressful because you're at work, man, and you're wondering what's going on at your house. And, and then, we call it Alpha Bravo shift. So you work 6 to 6 or 6, but you can't leave. You just can go, lay up. So it's kind of stinks. And,
But you guys work so hard. I remember with Matthew, I got right in the car as soon as I knew things had settled down because I had taken the kids and we evacuated over to Polk County because it looked like it was going to be really, really bad here. We got spared again. But I got right in the car, drove back over here, and, Doug was out cutting trees off of people's boats. They were out directing traffic, and the weather was still, rainy and terrible. And so they really do. They work tirelessly. There's a point in time where they all have to come in because the conditions can be too dangerous.
55.
Yeah.
I think it's 50 or 55. I don't know. Is it? Doug just chimed in. Is it Katrina trip was horrible? Yeah, it was, brother, but I was glad I was with you. What is the conditions, Doug, if you're listening? 50 or 55? And my man, Chris he's on an airplane and he's watching. I'll be with him in Virginia next week. I can't wait. It's going to be cool. And Janine, I miss you too, man. You're my teammate out in Colorado West. 40 miles an hour. I mean,
That's
so, know.
But as soon as it goes below that, they're back out on the streets, and they don't come home until...
Well, what you have to deal with when you're out there, I can't even imagine. I mean, people are crazy.
And then you have in-laws that are calling for you to help. And
freaking in-laws, man, you know what I mean? Hey, come cut my tree. I'm like, man, I got my own trees to cut. But, yeah. So it's taxing on them. The good thing is a lot of the guys like it because they make the overtime money. And they need it, man. That helps bail people out because that's unfortunate in this industry. Now I've met some cops in the nation, man. They get paid pretty damn good, But then there's like the cops in Florida, man. It's crappy. You're not making it, so that overtime money helps out quite a bit. That's for sure. So anyway, thanks to all of them. Cocoa Beach, where we live, man. Those guys are awesome, man. They're such cool cats, man. And then there was this. We were walking on the beach, like literally as soon as the storm let up, because I go out in the middle of the storm. I made Karen go out with me one time. She was mad as hell.
So mad.
Wind was whipping, and we were on the beach, and it was knocking us. I had my ghillie suit on or something, man. I put my gear on. I need that danger in my life. You know what I mean? And I'm still trying to find something to kill me out there, but it's not happening. So. And there's this deputy. I could see him because we both had the same matching rain jackets on. He's waving at me, and I'm like, "What's he waving at me for?" There's nothing out here, man. I can walk on the beach. But they were videoing, they were filming, so he was trying to get my attention. And of course,
it was a Weather Channel. I mean,
Weather Channel.
Yeah,
they were
legit.
just. I was about to walk through their scene and make them look dumb, but he was trying to cut me off. But he was so nice to us. He was so nice.
He was a deputy.
Yeah, he was a BCSO kid, man. I don't remember his name. I wish I did because I'd like to shout out to him. But anyway, thanks, guys, for putting us and taking care of all of us and making sure everybody was safe. That's pretty cool.
And again, the families.
We don't care about their families, man.
Stop it.
Nobody cares about their families.
He's lying. No, really, the families. They do. They go through a lot, and so. It's one of the things that we want to keep putting out there is that we are also here for the families. I connect with the spouses all the time. So even in a time of crisis, like a natural disaster, spouses, you can reach out to me if you need anything.
So September 11th, are we done with the Dorian thing?
Yep.
We September 11th is, what day is it?
Wednesday.
This Wednesday.
Yeah.
September 11th. Coco has their stair climb coming up. That's really cool. I've never been to it. I don't think. I think I went by there to drop some off when I was working one time, but it's a really cool thing to participate in. You can go online and find it, the Coco 911 stair climb. I think that's the title. If any of them guys are listening, they can chime in. Can I be done talking about all this? Can we get to business?
Yeah, this is.
And I'm asking her, I had to remind her, like, this is my show. You're just, I'm Howard Stern, you're Robin, man. I got to remind her all the time. She's trying to get bossy and tell me what to talk about. It's not, that's not how it works.
But he talked about it.
I did. You tricked me in. She didn't even feed me before I came here, man. So she's messing with me already. You can do this later, right?
It is. It says later.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Is that what it says?
And actually, I think that we may be ready to go to a commercial break right now.
And then we'll get into it.
Yeah, so everybody please come back because we're going to get into our topic, which is just a continuation of our last show, when the job becomes more important than family. So come on back and we'll answer some questions.
Hey, I'm Vinny with the all-new Vinny Marino podcast. I want you to join me every other Monday as we tackle all the craziest headlines from around Florida and truly explore and uncover what's missing. Also, we will invite the exciting guests from our community who have seen it all and aren't afraid to spill the beans about it. And finally, we can't forget about Vinny's top 3 rants and raves about traffic, restaurants, and events. Join us on Facebook as we go live and bring you behind the scenes of each show and let you be a part of it. The Vinny Marino Podcast, all Space Coast, super raw and unedited, straight to your dome all the time, live from the Space Coast Podcast Studios. Listen everywhere you find podcasts.
You're listening to Space Coast Podcast, home of the greatest podcasts on the Space Coast. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or having your own show, email us at spacecoastpodcast@hotmail.com.
Space Coast Podcast.
Talk hard!
I like that music.
I know. I
Can they
love
hear that
it.
music?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's some rock right there, man. I like that. I wish we could use, like, what is it called? You use a regular band. Like, it's some sort of infringement.
Yeah, we have to pay royalties. So this is royalty-free music.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
It rocks.
Anyway, so we're gonna dive right into it. We're going to kind of pick up a little bit and answer some questions about what we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago. And what was the title of it? I forgot, man. That was like 12, 13 days ago.
When the job becomes more important than family.
Right. Yeah. What do you expect, man? Come on. So when and this is kind of a good way to tee into it, because with the hurricane, like we were just talking about, and I'm sitting there thinking about all my boys, that got stuck in in the storms, and when does the job become more important than your family? So I thought about this. There's a young lady that I used to work with. I mean, she's a single mom. So how does a single mom, how do you make that decision? It's easy for me to make the decision. Yeah, it was easy. I'm just a worker, man. I had to go to work, and when I was married to Jen, she took the kids and they went and did their thing, and then you got the job, right? Didn't you take them one time?
I did.
And so, it's still stressful. I mean, I was a dedicated worker, so, I had to go out there and do it. But, you're a single mom, man, that's a whole lot of pressure to put yourself into. And to say, okay, man, I've got to go to work for 3 days and my kids, and there's a storm. And like Dorian, who couldn't make up its freaking mind where it wanted to go. Nobody knew, and if it did hit, it was going to lay a freaking ass whooping like you had never imagined, man. I'm in my head one night I started to panic, and I'm like, I'm not ready to lose my home.
Well, we had that discussion. I mean, I think it was the same night because I sat on the bed. It was after it moved south of us, the track moved south of us, and then all of a sudden, I think it was Saturday evening, it came right up the coast, like 95, and that was a discussion we had. I was in tears. We were just very, very stressed out, not ready to go through this.
I just wanted to surf, man. I was like, man, listen, I just want waves. I don't want no wind, no damage. I got oak trees. I'm the only street that has oak trees on it in the beach. Like, it's just unheard
Lots
of.
of oak trees, huge.
And I'm like, oh, here they come, man. But anyway, we got through it. I'm sure these, most of these guys and girls that worked through it got through it the best they can. But that's a whole lot of pressure to put somebody through. And you can't call work and go, hey, man, I'm not coming in because I got nobody to watch my kids. They're not hearing it. They'll just go, they'll just fire you or suspend you. And unfortunately, there's some jerk supervisors that just don't freaking care because their attitude is, I got to be here, so you got to be here. They don't even want to hear it. So, I feel sorry for all those families that are out there. And I went through it. And then on top of it, it's dangerous. Like, I remember we were in our SWAT van, and we had to go down to like Wickham, like South, I'm not familiar with that area, like South Melbourne area towards our galley. And we had to go pick up some supplies. And we took our SWAT van, and we had CNN or Dateline, maybe one of the guys on my team, they might know. And 62, I see you, Dan. Yeah, that was me. There's a new 62 out there now. That was my ID when I was a cop. So anyway, we take the SWAT van. We got these newscasters with us, right? And then all of a sudden we get waylaid by tornadoes. So we have to bail out of the SWAT van. We had to go take cover at this like public shopping center. I think the Publix is now, I think it's like a jumping gym place. It might even been, it's off Morel or something. Anyway. And tornadoes were coming. Then we get back in the van and we're trying to rush back because they were everywhere. And I remember my boss, my SWAT commander, goes to one of the other guys. He goes, hey, man, slow down, because he was flying down the road. And he turns around in the van with no feet on the gas and the trucks, and he goes, it ain't me. It was the wind pushing the van. And it was rocking, and those news guys, it's out there still. Somebody told me they saw it. It's still on like Dateline or CNN or something like that. But those guys were so scared, man. Their eyes were like this big. We were laughing, but anyway, it was scary stuff. But I'm glad I don't have to do that no more. Now I just have to sit home and sweat when there's no power.
Well, I think that there is when we're talking about our topic, there's a fine line also. Part of it is being part of the job, right? You have to go in and work when there's a natural disaster, or, when you were a drug agent, getting called out, or even on SWAT, getting called out in the middle of the night, or, you do big bust, and there were times where you worked 24 hours straight. So there's a fine line, I think, between it's your job and you have to do it, and then also when it really does become the most important thing in your life, and you start to push family aside, push family functions aside, things like that. So I think that there is a fine line there that that we need to talk about.
Well, pushing I'm glad you brought that up, because I'd like to think I was the master at pushing everybody away. I'm still the master at pushing people away. I just, so the job, let's get into that for a minute. So the job, it consumes you whether you like it or not. When you're young into the career, it's a whole lifestyle change. It's very hard to just go to work, clock in and clock out. And there are some guys who are worse. I never turned my radio on. Not one time did I ever turn my radio on at home. I wasn't that ate up with it, but I did bring my job home every day. Like if I had a bad guy out there, I didn't, like, it would just eat at me until I could catch him. And then there's guys that, they listen to the radio at home, or they go, every time they go out in public, they're like on ultra cop guard. You could smell them. I was gonna say a mile away, and they got that look, and I get it. I'm not dogging them because I'm guilty of it myself. So it consumes you. It becomes part of you. And then what happens? And I'm going to tell you the non-specific way that it was, that I can explain it the best. When you think of it every day, is there a famous philosopher named Nietzsche? He's got a saying about it. And it goes something like, if you stare at the freaking demon long enough, that you're going to become the demon. And that's what I did. Do you agree?
Yes.
I was so, I'm a gung-ho kind of guy, man. No matter what I do, I got to do it 110%. I ran a 5K once, and then 6 weeks later, I ran the Ironman. It's always got at that level. And I'd like to think I was like that in my career. I might think I'm better at it than I probably was. But you all right over there?
I am.
You beating up? So it consumes you. You become part of it, and you can't let it go. And then that's where we get into, when does the job become more important than your family? The issue that a lot of first responders have is that it's not a type of job where you can just clock in and clock out. And then if you're in a specialty unit, if you're in a specialty unit, you're a detective, you're a drug agent, you're a traffic homicide, any kind of those units like that, you're on the phone. Like, as you just said, I was on the phone my entire career, all night long, people calling me, and you kind of get used to it. And then when, as an investigator or detective, especially a detective, if you're working a homicide case or something like that, you're living it. You're living it until it's over. And you want to do a good job, and you want to provide justice to the families, all those type of, good things and or bad things. And you just can't get rid of it. It just consumes you. I'm beating a dead horse here. So the issue is physically, I was able to do anything physically. I never ran out of gas, but mentally, that's a whole different kind of exhaustion. And even in that one interview, I talk about physical and mental pain. It just beat me down to the exhaustion where I just couldn't do it no more. And so what ends up taking place is when you do it for a very, very long time, and I'm going to kind of step out of it a little bit. The guys that are running 100 miles an hour, the SWAT guys and the gang and the task force guys, and you're running and gunning. And that's how I spent most of my career. So I was never a traffic guy, or, I wasn't the regular beat type of police officer.
You mooned me one time when you were doing traffic.
Yeah, well, I also did a whole lot of other crap when I was a cop. I tell people all the time, I can't believe I was as long as I was.
One time he did traffic, I drove by, and I was like, beep, beep.
Well, I went to help out one of the guys. I was, I didn't have to, so I stopped. I'll help you, direct traffic. And then he leaves me. Hefe, remember? I tell this story. He left me. He goes, I got to go. I'm hungry, man. My wife made me pork chops. And he just left me in the intersection. And I'm stuck out there. So, of course, I have to entertain myself. I'm not going to sit there and wave to people. So I see Karen drive by. I freaking mooned her. I was like, whatever. I'm going to have me some fun while I'm out here. But, so anyway,
you lost your train of thought.
I was thinking about mooning you back in my day. But, so let me get back to it. You're in this exhaustion where you're every day, and we're talking especially long-term cops that have been in a long time, and it's the same as a firefighter. It's just that repetitive stuff. And then what happens is you'll find yourself to where you can't communicate anymore with normal people because you're so used to dealing with, I'm just like, everybody was a dirtbag. Because in my career, everybody I dealt with was a dirtbag. 90% of the time. When you didn't have a dirtbag, it was really nice. You know, just to help somebody on the side of the road, it was really like, oh man, what a treat. Nobody called me names. Nobody tried to stab me. Nobody tried to run me over. And especially when you work in some rough areas like I did, you know, it's consuming and it's exhausting. And you lose that ability to communicate with regular people. You're so on guard. You're constantly looking out at everybody. To this day, I've been retired 2 years now. 2 years?
Yes.
To this day, I'm on guard 24 hours a day. I don't walk my dog out my front door without a gun and being on guard. It's just embedded in me now. Just that alone is exhausting. It's to always have to be on guard and to always have to worry. I mean, you know, I tell people all the time, who the hell puts a freaking bulletproof vest on to go to work? A cop does. Just that alone. People don't realize it, man. When you get up in the morning and you got, like Karen, she goes to school. She dresses nice. She goes to school. She's got to worry about little kids spitting on her and kicking her and stuff like that. A cop. I'm not dogging you.
No,
I mean,
I'm just like,
I mean, if you break it down to it, and then, oh yeah, Paul found it for me. You can read it on there. I have that in my PowerPoint, Paul, when I teach my classes. So, you as a cop, you got to go to work. You got to put a freaking vest on because people want to kill you. That's a hard thing to swallow on a daily basis. And most cops forget that. I mean, they know it. Like, you know, you get up, all right, man, I got to get my game face on. It's about to get dirty today. But you just kind of get used to it. I mean, I got to the point where I just didn't care no more.
well, you probably, it becomes...
Is that the official cut me off?
Yes.
Yeah.
It becomes the norm. And so you probably, you know, don't really even hear the Velcro when you put it on, when you take it off when you get home. Some may, but I would think the majority, they don't, because it becomes the new norm. And then, you know, everybody that I talk to, everyone we talk to says, in time, the career changes them. And I'm sure that happens in the fire community as well. Corrections, dispatch, you know, it changes you because you're constantly dealing with bad guys, tragedy, sometimes good things, but more often than not, bad things. And that over time changes you. And like Doug was saying, for some, it winds up consuming you. So then when you come home, it's very hard to reintegrate into family life when all day, every day, you're dealing with strife. And so
Strife.
I've used that a few times today.
So what is strife? Is that like shit?
Angst? Yes. I'm not going to say that on
Well,
here.
I'm just curious because like my listeners, they don't know the word strife.
I'm sure they do.
No, we're not educated at your level.
And so what that appears to the spouse, to the family, is that the job has become more important. The job is first. That may not really be what's going on in the first responders' mind.
It's not the choice. It's not your choice that it becomes. Because listen, I don't know, and any of the guys I worked with, the job was not more important. They like everybody hates their job at most of the points, but it naturally becomes consuming, which then becomes more important than your family. All right, continue.
No, and you're absolutely right. And so the way the spouse, and I can say for myself, you know, I mean, we can talk about what we went through here. For myself, there were times where I felt, you care more about your job, you care more about the dirt bags than you do about me. At 3 o'clock in the morning when the phone is blowing up and it was, you know, an informant or someone, you know, needing money, and he would take the call to the spouse, that's hard. You know, we have to learn how to deal with that. And
especially
we as spouses,
when it's some 20-year-old chick And you're like looking at your wife going, I swear this is a crackhead.
I knew all the names,
Yeah,
at
she
a
knew
certain
them,
point,
and which sucked for me because my track record's freaking about as powerful as Usain Bolt's. But, that was a difficult, I'd have to put her on speakerphone and be like, this is legitimately not my girlfriend. This is somebody else.
So I think that, I think that communication and learning to communicate, and for the first responder, and the spouse working together so that when they come home, there can be that open communication or that understanding of what they're going through. It's so important because communication really is the key to making all marriages work, but especially a first responder marriage. So
communication. Well, and that's what I was getting at. So, I found myself, and I tell this story all the time, at the time of my second downfall, I literally had everything that I thought I wanted at that time. I've since been taught by my wife that stuff is not that important. And you're right. I'll give you that one. But I had the big monster house on the water. I had the freaking Porsches and the Hummer in the driveway and the motorcycles and the boats, and I would come home from work and I would sit in the same spot every day. And, I'm a big Japanese history guy, right? I love my Japanese stuff. And I had a Japanese koi garden that was like out of the magazines, right? And I wouldn't even make it 15 more feet to the garden. I would sit by the front door in this little chair. Actually, we have chairs by my front door at this house. And I'd start smoking cigars, and I'd start drinking, and the kids would come out if they were around, and they'd say, hey, Dad, let's go out in the boat, or let's go do this. And I'd go, no, just go play in your room. I'm too tired. And I really wasn't tired. I was just mentally tired. And the thing of it is and really what the biggest problem is when you got to make decisions. I've just had this conversation a bunch with quite a few first responders past few weeks. When you got to make decisions all day long, real decisions, life-changing decisions, especially like the guys at our level that were like SWAT commanders, and you're making decisions that people's lives depend on, down to the traffic guy. He's got to make a decision on what kind of ticket he's going to write you, because he doesn't want to take food off your plate, but he wants you to chill out and quit doing 110 miles an hour down 95. So any decision from killing someone to writing somebody a ticket is all day long, every day. So the last thing you want to do when you get home is have your wife go to you, hey, what do you want to eat? I don't give a crap what it is, man. Put some peanut butter on a plate and I'll lick it off. I just don't want to make the decision.
You wouldn't be happy with that.
No, but I don't want to be asked the question, It's as simple as, please don't make me make another decision. And then it's kind of a double-edged sword. As a cop, that's what you're thinking. But I also have learned, and I tell people, stress on a 1 to 10, a 10 is a 10. It doesn't matter if you're a cop or you're a librarian. If you're stressed out and you're having a day and you're at a level 10, a 10 is a 10. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't be around kids. I can be in a gunfight every day of the week. Hell yeah, you guys want to get in a gunfight, sign me up. I'm right on board. But you put about 3 or 4 of them little turd carpet runners, whatever you call them, around me, I will flip out and jump through a window. I just can't do it, right? No big secret.
No,
it will stress me out. I mean, different things like that. So on that note, on a 1 to 10, a 10 is a 10, no matter what you're doing. So it's kind of a slap in the face to the spouse when you come home, whether male or female, because there's a lot of female cops out there. And then I'm curious, and I was hoping somebody would chime in. I wish Tony was going to be here. What's it like when you're a cop and your spouse is a cop? What a conversation. How do you come home, and I wish somebody would chime in on that. How do you come home and you all right?
I was going to chime in. Not because I'm a cop, but my thoughts on that.
I hear you over there going,
can you hear me breathing?
You were ready to get on that mic. She was about to go Latin on me, man.
Well, I think because I've talked to Holly about this before. Well, and we have some good friends that live out in Utah, Holly and Jimmy. I don't know if they're, I haven't seen Holly on here. She usually is. But we've talked about that before. And I believe that when both are cops or both are firefighters, or even maybe a cop and a firefighter who are married, you understand each other much better because you understand what each other is going through. Whereas for someone like me who is a teacher, and Corey, maybe you can chime in because Corey's a teacher with me. Her husband is a firefighter, and they have a beautiful young baby at home. We try very hard to understand, and we try to be sympathetic, and we try to be there as best we can, and as best we know how. But there really is no way that we can understand what they're going through. And so, like Doug was saying, when he would come home, he doesn't want to be asked, what do you want for dinner, right? And that's okay with me. I cook dinner. I cook a homemade meal every night, and I love cooking dinner. But the important thing is...
I get carried away with that every night. I think I was eating public sub last night or something.
I know. You ate pizza last night, and that's because you stayed out fishing. We stayed on the beach until about 9 o'clock, so I was not cooking at 9 o'clock.
Sorry, I had to get that dig in there.
But yeah, I know. But I'm going to get a dig in at you now because you complained about how you didn't eat dinner, but there's dinner cooked for you in the bag there. So,
It's about time.
but anyway, what... you're so crazy in more ways than one. What I was saying was that communication, communicating that to your spouse. I make decisions all day long. I make hard decisions all day long, and I know you do too, but this is something that is so simple. I don't want to make a decision on what I want to eat. I'm going to be happy just having a meal put in front of me because I'm happy to be home. So that's where communication is so important. Those little teeny tiny things that we don't even think of, because that wouldn't go through my head. It probably wouldn't go through another spouse's head that, wow, he makes these really tough decisions all day. And so maybe it's too much to ask him, what do you want for dinner?
That's what I was getting about. Everything's too much. The other conversation we talked about, mindless TV, because I would watch the dumbest things on TV, like when I'd go to bed, anywhere from, Martin to just, Nature Channel of watching crocodiles eat zebras, because it was something I didn't have to think about. It was unrealistic. Like it was, yeah. I never one time in my life have watched Cops. No. Because really? Like, I don't want to watch that crap because it's all a bunch of crap anyway. They're only going to show this stuff. They're not showing the real stuff. Anybody who watches them shows, it ain't like that. That's a bunch of bull crap. I don't care what show it is. But it's mindless. It's so you don't have to think. You don't have to do any of that. And that's a dangerous spot. When you get to that level, that's when you need to check yourself, because what you've done is you have checked out, period. And I ask a lot of guys in my classes, what did you do before you were a cop? And, most guys are, it's usually the same thing with guys, hunting, fishing, some guys are lame and play video games, or golf. So that's a dig for my buddy Thayer. He's out. He just loves golf. I know everybody does.
Nick Moon.
And I love Nick. I love him and Brian. They're my boys. I drove the golf cart, and I just drive them around all day and smoke cigars, right? But, what were you doing before you were a cop, and what are you doing now? And what is your excuses? Because I used to have people tell me, "Oh man, I work too much," and I would look at them and I'd laugh and I'd go, "Man, I run 70 miles a week." This was not currently, okay? Somebody, yeah, you can flick me off. I don't care, Doug. And I love you, man. And so anyway, I would run and I would bike and I would swim because I was motivated and I was disciplined. And they'd go, "Oh, my kids got soccer." I'm like, "Bitch, I got 5 kids, man. Just do what I do. Leave them at home, man. You can still get your time in." I didn't. I used to be a good dad once upon a time. But with that being said, it's that checking out. You got to make sure, whether you have to write it down or you have to put you a calendar or a plan, and or if you even have a spouse, I mean, or a significant other, whatever the term is nowadays. Got to be careful what you call it, right? And so those are important factors. You have to make sure that the communication, that's a woman's term. Like, we need to communicate. No, we don't need to talk. We need quiet time in this house.
Oh, stop. You know how important communication is.
There's a fine line between communication and annoying.
Oh.
Okay? My wife is annoying. Like, listen, I'm going to tell y'all a story. Listen to me. I had to go see my son up at like Lejeune in North Carolina. One of my boys, they were both stationed up there, and we had to go up there. This lady, this one right here, this Latin one next to me, she sang for 9 hours, man, in my ear, and like singing to me, like, I'm like, oh my God. So I don't even turn the radio on, because if I turn the radio, it could be the wheels on the bus, and she will sing it to you, man. It's annoying. So there's a fine line between over communicating and communicating. You can communicate and you can be annoying.
Oh my God.
And if I don't talk to her, she talks to the cats. And I'm the crazy one, man. She talks to them, and they all look at her the same way I look at her, like, leave me alone, man. You're annoying me.
You are out of control. You are sending the wrong message here.
It's my show. I never said it was going to be the right message. Like, if you're a listener, I can't tell you. I'm not going to tell you it's the right message. This is my message.
Well, I'm going to have to cut you off right now because we're actually past, we went completely past our second commercial break, but we've got to go to a commercial break now. So what we would like is for anybody who has some questions to please, Jesse, can they chime
Chris,
in?
what is USTA?
Yeah, post
I
it
don't
on
know what
Facebook.
that is.
Okay.
On the Facebook live video.
Okay. So you can go ahead and pop your questions in. And as soon as we come back from this commercial break, we're going to go ahead and answer some questions. So please put them up there because we want to answer those.
Hello, America. We are Ruthless Politics, Vladimir Putin's favorite podcast.
Hello, American podcast listeners. I am Vladimir Putin. I like this podcast. I like this guy Trees. Kid Groening, not so much.
Tune in every Tuesday for Ruthless Politics podcast, live from Moscow. Just kidding, folks. Live from the Space Coast Podcast Studios in sunny Florida.
No, but for real, every Tuesday, check it out, and you could see it on the YouTube, the Facebook, and the Twitter and Instagram.
Hey, make sure you check out Space Cowboy Justice with your hosts, Blake Stewart and Paul Daly. We're going to be talking about interesting legal issues in the entertainment industry and everything geek. If you're into Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, comic books, we're talking about it. Coming at you from the Space Coast Podcast Studios.
You're listening to Space Coast Podcast, home of the greatest podcasts on the Space Coast. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or having your own show, email us at spacecoastpodcast@hotmail.com.
Space Coast Podcast.
Talk hard!
Back. So I'm looking at these comments. Rich Gregg, Rich is my old partner, and he couldn't have said it any better. So if you get a chance, look at his comment. But Rich is a guy just like me. He's a super athlete, the strongest cop in the world. I think we both were competing on a world level. We both went to the world championships. He for the strongest cop and me for the fastest. And he made a good point about he had to go make time for himself. And Rich is a dedicated, disciplined. Like that dude, I remember he worked his butt off. You know what I mean? Like overtime and special details. And so it can consume you. And for guys like me and guys like him that are dedicated, diehard athletes and stuff like that, to take you away from that, yeah, man, something seriously got to be wrong. And so get a chance, you can read his comment on what he did. So I kind of want to start wrapping things up. So that I forgot what you told me to say. What was it again? Oh, so the important thing, I did forget, but I'm just making my own stuff up. If you remember, tell me. So the important thing is why it is so important to reconnect with your family and to not make the job more important, because the most important thing, it's a freaking job. You'll learn it's a job. When I just had this conversation with three Brevard guys that have been in shootings and been shot, and they're all basically out of work now, retired, medically retired, and they all said the same thing. Once it's over, it's kind of weird, like I'm still going through it, the identity and what do I do with myself, but nobody misses it. Once you step away from it, you realize like, okay, man, life is pretty good out here. So what I'm getting at is you need to stay in touch with your family because it's your family. And I'm preaching to the choir because I suck at it, but I know it. Look at her.
No, you don't.
I do.
You used to. You used to be terrible.
Yeah, and
at
I used
it.
to be much better at it. But nowadays things are different, obviously. But because the job's going to end, the family's still going to be there. The kids are still, like, it's ended for me, and my kids are still there. You know what I mean? My kids are at home, and hopefully I'm a little bit better. One thing that the job did to me is when I started in my career, I used to hire Santa Claus to come to my house every Christmas because I couldn't go to the mall. I couldn't go to the mall because I didn't, you know what I'm talking about. It's like that Toy Story, not Toy Story, what is it? Where the Santa kicks the kid in the face, he'll shoot your eye out. Christmas Story. I just couldn't do it. And all the guys from work would come over, my friends and neighbors, and that was it, right? And I would decorate and whatever it made my kids feel awesome that it was Christmas time, right? Nowadays, I can't do it. You know what I mean? The job just wore all that out from me. It took all the niceness. It took all that type of thing out of me. I just don't have it in me anymore. I mean, because what I did is I stared into that demon for so many years. My life became about looking through a sniper rifle, blowing doors up, chasing people, gunfights, whatever the job, that comes, the tag that comes with the job. And now it's gone, it's over, but my family's still there. Well, and they're the ones that are, hold on, just a second. I was about to give you little props. Now my wife is left with cleaning up the aftermath and the mess that I created in this career. My kids are, they got to deal with the aftermath. They got to deal with me always being on guard and why can't we go here and why can't we go to the fair, like the county fair. Well, I'm going to the county fair because there's 800 people out there I put in prison, things like that. So they're still there dealing with the aftermath. Did I do a good job? Did I touch on base on what you wanted me to do?
I think you did a great job. Well, I think the important thing, though, for you to recognize and really as a model for other people who may be going through the same thing is that you still have your struggles, but you work on this constantly. So it gets better. You can get to a low, but you can also come out of that, and you can also work toward getting better and better, and life can get better, and you can, as we like to say, live happy. So a lot of you on here know Doug and I very well, as partners, and some of you don't. But we went through a lot. We went through really what most marriages would not survive. And I always say God put us through those tests, and he had us get through them and become extremely healthy in our marriage so that we could be here today. And so, you can come back from that, and you do a wonderful job now of, working on that daily to try and get back to where you were. And so that really is the important thing, is that you constantly, that everybody constantly works on those things to make a better family.
Absolutely. And they don't teach that stuff. And, hopefully when I started, I just seen one of my old bosses and friend, Sean Sanders. He was a great mentor. Like when I became a cop, that's important that they have mentor programs and interject those type of classes into, because it'll make healthier and your mind will be clear, your mind will be healthier. It makes for a better cop. You're going to make better decisions on the street. I came into my career at a good time. I had great mentors, and I would look at the things they were doing and how they were reacting with their, with their families and kind of steer me in the right. I mean, I was when I got hired, all my bosses were awesome. My FTOs, my training, they were just awesome. And, and as my career they all left, right? And so there's, different breeds, but that's important that they have that. So anyway, we're getting close to time running out here. I don't want to beat this to the end here. But anyway, make sure that, you have those communications, touch base, put the job away, get outside, do the things you need to do. I've said this a couple times. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself, your time, your me time. I don't care if you got to walk around the block. I don't care if you got to park your patrol car and just stand and go talk to normal people. Whatever you got to do, make sure you get it done. Don't end up like the rest of them. So I want so the rest of them, the rest of us,
or really go through what you went through and what we went through.
That's a whole another subject, because I obviously became this freaking lunatic and put my my wife through hell. Probably had a lot to do with ending my first marriage and obviously impacting my second one. And I don't wish that on anybody. But you're good at it. What you do and the classes you teach are great, and maybe you can pass that advice on. I'm not the best at giving advice. I tell people all the time, don't do what I did. But anyway, so do you want to finish this stuff up?
Sure. So just, we have some statistics here of what's really going on in the first responder world in 2019, up to today. So we talk a lot about the total number of law enforcement suicides to date. For 2019, we are at 142 verified law enforcement suicides. This is definitely, or at least I feel, we feel on the path that this is taking, it is going to surpass last year's total number, which was 167 law enforcement suicides.
Didn't it go to 170 or 169?
I'm not sure. That's what I pulled as of today. So, but I could be wrong. But it's somewhere. 167, 169, 170. I mean, that's just, it's really, really high. Far higher than line of duty deaths. So please reach out, no matter whether it's us, if you reach out to another organization, if you reach out to somebody within your department. Fire statistics are a lot more difficult to find. I wish there would be an organization out there for fire that truly would begin collecting all of this data. But what I did find was that in 2017, 103 firefighters died by suicide, and we know that those numbers have gotten higher last year, and they are growing this year. I feel like we are hearing more and more about fire suicides this year than I have in previous years. So that number is growing. So we are there for our fellow firefighters as well, corrections, you name it. Any first responder, we are there. Reach out to someone. Another staggering statistic is between 2016, the beginning of 2016, and today, there have been 578 total law enforcement suicides that we know of. These are only the ones that people report, so I'm sure that not everyone has been reported because some people don't want to talk about that, but that is a staggering number. And I think it's important for us to keep putting this out there.
No, well, obviously, I mean, if more cops are being, and there's a lot out there, throughout the U.S., organizations that, do all this work, and I'm not dogging them, man, God bless you. All these organizations out there doing this work for cops and their families who've been killed in the line of duty. Well, if you're putting a gun to your head and pulling the trigger, take it from somebody who did it, that's a pretty radical thing. That a job's gets you to a point where you're going to blow your brains out, right? Can't put it in any other layman terms. So, it's important that we have the programs, the training, the education to prevent that. I wish they put the same effort into that as they do, in the other areas. And hopefully things will change and we can do that on both sides, the fire side. And I lost two personal firefighter friends, one that I worked with for years, and I did everything. Actually, Vinny and I, man, we did everything we could to help this guy, and he just, he couldn't pull it off. So, and the numbers, it very well could be hard for us to get the numbers because obviously we're not in the fire industry. We help, but we don't have the connections that we do in law enforcement. So maybe we're missing some. If somebody has it, they can feel free to forward it to us, and we'd love to have it and use it. But from what I understand, the numbers are pretty close. The numbers on firefighter and law enforcement are pretty close. Yeah. They're usually very close in numbers within a few of suicides, and also line of duty deaths. That type of stuff. So.
Barbie, I see your comment. I'm so happy you're on here. Barbie's another friend of ours. She lives out in the state of Washington. She's a fire wife. So I agree with that. So definitely let's have a chat soon and see what we can do about that. As we get ready to close out, Jesse, can I go about a minute over? Is that all right?
Producer Jesse, don't play no games, man.
But
he cut you off.
He is good to us. So I'm going to plug this every single time for all of our friends that are here in
just do that bottom
in Brevard County. No, I'm going to plug that. That's really important. Our Run for Responders 5K. That's coming up January 4th, 2020.
She just shut me, right? Did you see that, man?
Did.
She goes, no, we're not going to do that.
I did.
So this ain't my show. It's not my foundation. I just, whatever. I'm just.
We still have the early registration price right now of $25. All first responders are $20, but and kids are $15 for 15 years and younger. That price increases, though, to $30 October 30th. So please go on. It's an incredible night. Please go on, register, come out, have a great time with us. It certainly was an amazing time this past January. So please go ahead and go on, run, sign up, and register so you can get that early registration price. For other events, you can go to our website, to our events tab. We have lots of other events that are listed. We need to raise money because everything that we do is really dependent on the funds that we raise from the public. So please go on our website, www.survivefirst.us, and check out our events page and join us in whatever you can. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to those of you who come back each week and are with us and chime in. We are so grateful to that. We want to give special thanks again to the Dirty Oar and to Space Coast Podcast Network. All episodes of Survive can be found online at the Space Coast Podcast Network, iTunes or Spotify. Any that I'm missing? All of them. So any ones that you've missed in the past, please go ahead and check those out as well. And we hope you come back with us again in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
I won't be
Thanks,
here.
babe. All right, good. I won't kick you out.